The first signal arrived at the edge of the Orion Spur. A clean narrowband pulse repeating every 70 seconds, as polite as it was impossible. It came from a small system with a yellow star and a handful of rocky worlds. The signal carried no threats, no encryption, no hidden layers. Just mathematics and a slow set of pictograms, built from primes and simple geometry. The Cathari Listening Array. An ancient lattice of instruments suspended in the cold between stars confirmed it within hours. The Cathari were not a young species. They had mapped trade routes, cataloged civilizations, and survived enough wars to develop an instinct for caution. They had seen first contact go wrong in 100 ways. Still, this was different. The sender had placed their greeting on a frequency used by no known empire, as if they were calling into a silent room and hoping anyone might answer, in the Cathari Council Chamber. Where the ceiling was a moving projection of the local sky, a small delegation gathered. Admiral Vale stood at the center, tall and rigid, his skin marked with the faint shimmer of ceremonial pigment. Beside him, Speaker Leora held the translation slate, her eyes focused on the repeating patterns. Engineer Tomar, blunt and impatient, leaned forward as if he could stare the truth out of the data. The council had already decided. They would respond. They would send a ship. They would do it carefully. The Cathari were not conquerors. They were navigators and traders, and their strength was in understanding. Their doctrine of contact was simple. Offer peace, learn the rules of the new culture, and leave before pride turned into a knife. The vessel chosen was the Quiet Horizon, a diplomatic cutter with defensive systems, medical bays, and enough redundancy to survive an accident or a misunderstanding. It carried a small crew and a single official envoy team. The mission was not to impress. It was to survive and return with knowledge. The journey took weeks by fold travel, the ship slipping through controlled distortions of space that the Cathari had refined over centuries. The system ahead grew from a faint glow to a map of planets and orbital debris. The yellow star burned steady. One world stood out, blue and white, wrapped in an atmosphere rich with oxygen and water. The Cathari sensors swept the space around it and found almost nothing. No orbital shipyards. No defense platforms. No ring habitats. No dense traffic. For a species broadcasting into the void, the system looked strangely quiet. There were satellites, yes, but small and sparse. There was a station, but it was modest, positioned in a high orbit like a watchful eye rather than a fortress. Admiral Vale frowned. He had expected a young civilization, but even young worlds tended to litter their skies once they discovered spaceflight. This looked like a civilization that had either barely begun or had deliberately cleaned its orbit. The Quiet Horizon slowed and broadcast its own greeting. It mirrored the mathematics and added a simple symbol for peace, a hand without claws, a circle not broken by lines. Minutes passed, then a reply came. It was immediate. Clear and perfectly structured, as if the sender had been waiting with a translator already built. The message included coordinates and a request to meet at the station. Speaker Leora read the final line aloud. Her voice softened with surprise. "Welcome to Sol," Engineer Tomar blinked. Sol was an old name in the Cathari archives, a myth from fragmented records of long-lost surveys. Some ancient probes had once passed through a region marked by radiation storms and unpredictable gravity wells. The data had been incomplete. The system had been noted and then forgotten. Now it was speaking. The Quiet Horizon approached the station. At close range, it looked older than expected. Its outer plating was not sleek. It had visible seams, repaired sections, and modules added over time. Yet its energy signature was stable, and the station's field generators were sophisticated. Far beyond what its appearance suggested, a docking corridor extended. Aligning with the Cathari airlock with an almost casual precision, Admiral Vale led the delegation. Speaker Leora followed, carrying the translation slate. 2 guards came behind, their weapons sealed but ready. The corridor filled with a neutral atmosphere. It's breathable for both species with minor filtration. At the far end, the door opened. A human stepped through. The Cathari had studied many species. Most were taller or shorter than them. Many had extra limbs or different symmetry. Humans were surprisingly ordinary in shape, bipedal, 2 arms, forward-facing eyes. Their skin tones varied. Their hair was thick and flexible. Their faces expressive in a way that suggested social complexity. The human wore a simple uniform, dark fabric with a small emblem, a circle surrounding a star. The human raised one hand, palm outward. Admiral Vale mirrored the gesture. The translation slate hummed. The human spoke. The words resolved into Kethari language with only a slight delay. My name is Elias. I represent the Soul Accord. Thank you for coming. Speaker Leora tilted her head. Soul Accord was not a name that matched any known alliance, Admiral Vale answered carefully. We are the Cathari Union. We received your greeting. We come in peace and curiosity. Elias nodded. His expression was calm, but his eyes were sharp. Peace is appreciated. Curiosity, too. Please, come inside. We have prepared a room suitable for discussion. The meeting chamber was plain. A table, chairs adjusted for both anatomies, water dispensers, a screen on the wall. It was almost disappointingly normal. Engineer Tomar, always direct, asked the first question. Why is your orbit so empty? Elias smiled faintly. Because we keep it that way. Debris is a hazard. Weapons in orbit are a temptation. We learn to remove both. Admiral Vale's crest feathers lifted slightly. The words carried an implication. Humans had once filled orbit with weapons. Humans had then decided not to. Speaker Leora leaned forward. Your message suggested you were seeking contact, but you seem prepared as if you expected us. Elias folded his hands. We did not expect you specifically, but we knew someone would come. The galaxy is not empty. We have been quiet for a long time. We decided it was time to stop being a rumor. The Cathari exchanged glances. Rumor Admiral Vale chose his next words with care. We have explored a large region. We have met many civilizations. Yet your species is not in our current records. Elias nodded, as if that was unsurprising. Your records are not wrong. They are incomplete. Many archives are an engineer. Tomar frowned. That is a strange answer. Elias looked at him directly. It is a truthful one. Silence settled. The station systems made soft background noises. The hum of life support in distant machinery, Speaker Leora decided to push. How far have you traveled? What is your level of technology? Elias did not hesitate. Far enough? High enough. But we do not measure ourselves. The way most civilizations do, Admiral Vale's patience thinned. Then how do you measure yourselves, Elias? Glanced at the emblem on his chest. What we choose not to do, that unsettled the Cathari. More than any boast would have, to ease the tension. Elias activated the wall screen. A star map appeared, centered on Sol. Lines extended outward like threads. At first it looked like any trade chart. Then the Cathari realized what they were seeing. The lines were not trade routes, they were boundaries. Elias pointed to a region, far larger than Cathari territory. This is the Accord's protected space. Most of it is uninhabited. Some of it contains developing worlds. Some of it contains civilizations that prefer to be left alone. Engineer Tomar stared. Protected by whom? Elias answered simply. Bias, Admiral Vale's voice. Hardened, you claim ownership. Elias shook his head. Not ownership, responsibility. There is a difference. Speaker Leora studied the map. It overlapped with several known empires. The Cathari Union itself lay near the edge of the marked space. That is impossible, she said. We would have noticed. Ilias's eyes held no arrogance, only certainty. You have noticed, just not consciously. Pirates vanish when they cross certain lanes. Wars cool down before they spread too far. Certain weapons never appear on the market. Certain systems remain untouched, though they are rich with resources. You assumed it was luck, or balance, or the fear of other empires. It was none of those. Admiral Vale felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Are you saying humans have been controlling the region? Elias corrected him, guiding, preventing catastrophes, removing the worst actors, encouraging stability. We do not rule by banners. We rule by gravity. Engineer Tomar let out a sharp sound, half laugh, half disbelief. You are one world. Even with advanced ships, you cannot manage an entire region without anyone noticing. Elias tapped the screen. The map zoomed out. New markers appeared, hundreds, then thousands, then more. Each marker represented a facility, a relay, a hidden station, a shipyard, a listening post, a refuge. The Cathari could not speak for a moment. Speaker, Leora's voice came out quietly. How Elias' expression softened, as if he had been waiting for that question for years. Because humanity did not rise like others. We did not unify early. We did not expand with a single empire. We spread like seeds. Every time we reached a new system, we built tools to survive alone. Every time we faced a setback, we learned to make do with less. And every time we met something that could destroy us, we adapted. Admiral Vale leaned back. You speak like a species that has fought monsters. Elias nodded. We have. Some were external. Some were our own instincts. The Cathari Council had prepared for a meeting with a young world. Instead, they had found a calm human in a worn station. Speaking as if he were explaining the weather, Speaker Leora's mind raced.